right, Kevin, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Ty, you ready?
Aye, aye.
All right. Timeout. Tyler, who are we taking a timeout with today?
Oh, well, thank you, Kevin. Kevin's got his whistle down here. Oh, man. Well, we're having a lunch break today. Timeout with the head coach of Roberts Wesleyan women's basketball team, Coach Kevin Clifford. Coach Kevin Clifford, thanks for coming on the show today. And our first question is, I always like to ask Hoops fans, who's your all-time starting five?
Tyler and Kevin, thanks for having me on. I like to be prepared. I was going to ask you what kind of questions you're going to ask me. So, so this is NBA all-time five?
Yeah.
I love Pistol Pete. I'm going to throw him out there. He didn't play a lot in the NBA, but Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. My brother was really good, but I'm not going to put him on that list. He'll be mad if I don't put him on the list. So my brother John Clifford was good too, and my brother Mike at the center. So us four and my sister, we could get a five right there. But we got Pistol Pete or John Stockton, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. Wow. You probably got to go Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell, but there's so many: Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Tim Duncan. I mean, I like Chris Webber. Obviously with Michigan and stuff like that. Derek Coleman. I could drop some names. Tim Duncan, Oscar Robinson. So, but I think that NBA, that dream team was really. I mean, there was when I used to play video games. That Chris Mullen. I get that a lot. I play Chris Mullen when I used to be my side. So.
You do look like Chris Mullen.
You do look like Chris Mullen.
Get it sometimes. Kevin, Tyler, funny story. I was walking to Costco in New York City. I was coaching, and I got it twice. There was three kids outside, they're more like teenagers probably, but I was walking in, and they were sitting on the pole or the fence, and they were kind of looking at me. And I'm looking at them, and I kind of just, I just want to keep going, tunnel vision, and I keep looking side view, and they look at me, and they're like, yo, are you Chris Mullen? I was like, So I went to the Costco, went shopping, and then came back out. I tried to say, hey, I'm Chris Mullen, but they didn't give me nothing for free. So, and then I was shooting hoops in my playground in the park, and I was out by myself. And there was another Asian guy on the other side, but I'm not lefty. I was shooting righty. I was shooting a little bit lefty, but Chris Mullen's lefty. And he comes over and he's at the bench, and I'm just getting a drink of water and just say hello to him. I say hello to a lot of people just to make conversation. He older guy, you could tell he was just shooting hoops. I don't think he was shooting incorrectly for him and stuff like that. But I didn't want to start correcting him as a coach. And then he goes, "Are you Chris Mullen?" Out of nowhere, I was like, "No." So random story. So, but go back to your five. I would say. Again, you got Isaiah Thomas, Magic Johnson. I'm going to change it. I'm going to go Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and then you got to probably go Russell, Will Chamberlain. You got Shaq. So I'm giving you 15 names.
I love it. We got a roster.
Yeah, that's a heck of a roster, obviously, and something that you are passionate about is the sport of basketball. And basketball was one of Tyler and I's favorite sports growing up. And one of my favorite things about basketball is the warm-up, the layup line. Now, if you're starting it off, right, and your song is coming on and you're about to go dunk that ball, Kevin, into the hoop, what song are you wishing layup line started with?
DMX, Party Up in
here. Now we're talking. That's a layup line there, Ty.
Guys, I used to DJ, believe it or not. So I've had a lot of jobs. So I know the music world too. Even up in Bring 'Em Out.
Yeah.
T.I. It's just something to get you hyped up.
Oh yeah, I was still wearing those rip-off pants. You remember those rip-off pants? We need to bring those back for sure.
Yes, I love them.
Do they still give you a tee if you dunk it in warm-ups?
The women's game I coach, so not too many people dunking on our side. I think the men's have changed it, but I'm not too sure.
You can throw it down.
You used to be able to dunk and show off, and then you couldn't touch the rim, so I'm not sure now.
Right on. Well, Kevin, thanks for being on our show. Like we said, what's the biggest? What's your most favorite thing about how the game's transitioned over the years? Because when I grew up, there was the paint was clogged. It was hard to get in there. Nowadays, I'm too dang old to drive and penetrate, but holy hell, it is so wide open. If you just go play a pickup game, everyone's sitting along the 3-point line just saying, here, toss it to me. I'm salivating like, guys, if I had you guys back in the 90s, you'd be dead right now. But, what is your favorite part of the transition over time of just whatever your thoughts are, fire away. Because I have a lot of them.
Question. Great question. I think the game has evolved a lot. I think the game is different. I like the old school game in the terms of the 80s and 90s. That's kind of when I grew up. I mean, you could tell by the names I was dropping there, but I had brothers too, so I even know like Bob Cousy and people like that. I didn't really get to see them play, but I know, Pistol Pete and things like that. I've seen documentaries, read books, but I think the game has changed a lot where it's faster paced now. I think shooting has gone down, even though people shoot threes and they move the line back. But overall, I think about like Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson, like they never missed. James Worthy, Michael Cooper, like those guys never really missed. It felt like in open shots. Now I see miss shot. I'm like, these guys would make it, and there was no zone back then either. So I think the rules have changed. I coach women, but I coach men to start. It's changed a lot in terms of like the men's game in college. I don't know if you know this, is 2 20-minute halves. The women in the last couple of years have gotten to 4 10-minute periods. So the one-on-one shot, the free throw, has been taken out of the women's game. I don't know if you know that. So if you get 5 fouls in a women's game, you start shooting 2 shots. But after the first quarter, Tyler, they reset the fouls. So the game has changed. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm saying, but see, the thing is, in the men's game, Kevin, if you say we hack each other right away, we foul, and you're in the bonus, you're shooting free throws. So the flow of the game, so that's the reason why they did it in the women's game. So for example, we have 10 fouls in the first quarter in the women's game. The second team fouls. The second quarter, sorry, I hit a button. The second quarter is 0 fouls, team fouls.
Oh wow, that is completely different.
Yeah, so it's changed a lot in terms of that. Tyler, when I coached back in the day, we used to run like a motion offense where it was like 2 people in the paint, 3 people out. Now it's like you said, 5 people outside, 5 out, 4 out. So it's opened up the lane. But the women's game, they really want, they expanded. The women's line now is the men's line, 3-point line. It's about 22 feet. So so I was against the voting. I said no for it because the percentages are not, like we shot 38%, which is pretty good for our league, but I don't think it's good overall. It's not 44. Like we were shooting 48%, I could say, and move it back. But they really want to open up the gap, like almost like international basketball, Tyler, when the key is kind of, almost like not a square or rectangle, it's like a trapezoid or out wider. So they really want to try to get scoring up and things like that. So I think the game's changed a lot, but I think the athletes, like my brother tried out for the NBA back in the day, and they test him for running and jumping. And but he could shoot, he could play, but he didn't, that stuff. We're not the most athletic family, right? So, so he went to Sacramento Kings workout, and he said he was working out with like football players, like lifting, bench pressing, and he was strong, but he wasn't strong like bench pressing 300 pounds, So he ended up playing overseas. But I think the game now is like you see these guys get drafted, they're like just super athletes. Oh they're good basketball players, but they're more just like generic freaks kind of thing. So I think
be scary to see some of those guys on the football field. They're like Zion Williams out and LeBron James out there playing tight end or something. Yeah, you can throw it just anywhere.
Yeah. Look at those guys. They're like just 6'7", 6'8". And LeBron actually played football. He was when they went on a strike or a lockout. I don't know if you heard, the Seahawks, Carroll and someone else, they reached out to him to play. So imagine those guys in the football field. So Charlie Ward did it. Charlie Ward played basketball and football at Florida State. I mean, he was, I think, more of a quarterback, but some of those guys are like 2-3 sport athletes. What I'm amazed now is people play so many sports. So they do so much now. Like back in the day, like we played we played all sports, but organized was only basketball. Like it was basketball year round. Now we have players playing soccer, basketball, all different sports.
Something else. Yeah. Besides the game changing, like Tyler mentioned, there's also an evolution, right? So there's the game itself has changed, but probably how you have to lead and coach is also changing, right? With the generations. A lot of businesses right now have a multi-generational workforce. So a lot of leaders are really trying to tap into the younger generation, and you get to see them before they even hit the streets in the working world, right? And I know you're passionate about them having the right grade point average, as well as involvement in the community as some of the other fundamental pillars there at the program there at Roberts Wesleyan. How have you had to adjust the way that you coach or lead over the years?
Definitely. Great question, Kev. I would say life skills is the most important, grades and all that stuff, but no one really asks you GPA when you go for a job interview, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. I would say, are they trustworthy? What other things do they do besides, were they on a team? Do they work in a club? All that stuff. But Tyler, to answer your question for basketball, just put some closure on. I think the game has changed in terms of 3-point shot. The game has changed in terms of the rules with the defense. Think about it. Derek Harper used to hand check Greg Anthony full court 90 feet. I'm telling you, you can't even blow on somebody now. They call a foul. Think about it. Charles Oakley, Bill Lambie, and Robert Parrish fought each other in the game, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Think about it, right? Now you get a flagrant 1, flagrant 2. You get thrown out of the game. So, but that was off topic. Remind me to talk. Ron Artest, Metal World Peace. Do you know who he is?
Yep.
I coached him. I got a picture of him. I'll show you guys that in a minute. I coached him. And I coached Card Towns Jr. in camp. But I coached Ron Artest in CYO.
Oh my God.
Great guy. Yeah, so, but we'll go back. I'm random. I go all over the place. So
We love it.
But Kev, the leadership style. So you mentioned about getting the coaching. My prep school coach told me I was going to be a teacher and a coach. And I couldn't believe it. This guy, Jerry Quinn, awesome guy. He still coaches at St. Thomas More Prep School. It's a boys' school. He's coached like, what's the guy's name? Drummond, Andre Drummond in the NBA now. He coached him, and he coached those guys that played with me, they were really, really good. I went to North Carolina and Florida State and guys like that. But anyway, he's been there for a long time. But I went there after high school. I talked to him. I love what he had to say, and he was always like transparent. Like he told me like exactly, what he said he did, and then he kind of followed up what he said he was going to do. But he ended up getting me a scholarship to Sacred Heart, which was probably above my head in terms of level, but they were Division II, and then they went Division I. But he said I was going to be a teacher and a coach. So I was a teacher, part-time coach, and now I'm kind of full-time teacher, a coach, and then I actually teach a class here at Roberts now. So I've kind of, but I look back at it, this guy predicted what I was going to do, and I wasn't sure where I wanted to go at that age. You don't know. You have an idea, you're passionate, but you don't know exactly what you're going to do, So when I was 15 years old, this is how I ended up coaching Ron Artest. 15 years old, my coach, this guy, John Mann, he was a neighbor. He was like the mailman in the neighborhood, but his parents knew my parents. He coached me, coached my brothers, and I played for him, and I was one of the better players. But when I went to high school, he asked me to come back, and I didn't have a lot of time because playing high school, varsity, JV, and he asked me to come back and coach with him. So I was an assistant coach when I was 15 years old, just helping him out. And I wasn't there all the time, but I was there a lot. When I was 17 years old, I was the assistant coach. His other head coach, great guy, but he ended up showing up for the first practice and then couldn't commit anymore. I don't know if he saw the team and saw like if we were going to be good or bad. And then Ron Artest and 2 other guys, their program shut down, so they ended up coming over. So now I'm the assistant coach, 17, coaching these 15-year-olds, and I'm now the head coach. So I was coaching. So I've been coaching over 30 years in terms of coaching, but I started when I was so young, But I think it's changed. Like when I coached then, it was like get on the line, run, and they did it to me, right? So I was like, oh, but now like we do a lot of stuff with the ball, Kev. We do, the way I talk to them. I'm more like positive, high energy. So my leadership style has changed over the years. But I think, not that the kids have changed, but the culture has changed, right? I'm not big on that entitlement. I'm not big on that trophy culture. I came from old school where like we got MVP, man. My parents had a shelf, and my buddies used to come into the house, and it was like they thought it was a shrine. And my parents like now, sometimes we had plaques, we had trophies, but the thing is, we earned it. Coach Award, Most Improved, MVP, different sports, not just basketball, but but we didn't get a trophy for coming. If I didn't win MVP that year or a coach's award, I didn't get a trophy. But if I came in 10th place, I didn't get a medal. So it was like an honor to get those those trophies and plaques and championships if we won something or whatever it was. So my parents turned it into like the living room into like a bookshelf and put all the trophies on it. So so the expectations were high. But I think the coaches, I've had all different types of coaches. Jerry Quinn, the guy from prep school, where he was probably like the laid back guy. Like he would sit there with his legs crossed like this. He would have keys when he got pissed, when he got upset. Sorry, he would throw the keys down. Or throw them like at halftime in the locker room or something. But he would never really. He was like almost like Phil Jackson in terms of like during the game. He was like, I mean, we had a really good team too, but he was very even keel. So I had all different leaderships to model after. I think I've kind of developed it over the years in terms of like you take something from here and there and then you make it your own. But I think you got to be yourself. You got to be available. You got to lead by example. I'm very innovative. So I kind of like, last year it was crazy. Thriving Chaos was our theme. We actually won the championship first time in school history. And then we went to the NCAA. We had to stay in a bubble but near Damon, because Damon hosted it for 6 days. And I literally lived 10 minutes from the hotel and I couldn't leave. I wanted to go home.
My gosh.
And we had to get tested. We had to bring the players, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our assistant coaches were doing a great job. Our bus driver, our athletic director, they were all helping. I was doing like 7 a.m. to like 2 a.m. days for like every day for the tournament. And then we won Friday and Saturday. And then we had to play Monday for the Sweet 16. But Thriving Chaos was our theme. And then we actually had posters made up from our team, and now they're all over our locker room and stuff.
That is
Thriving
awesome.
Chaos. I don't know if you can see it. So, and we actually got T-shirts made up and gave it out to them, that week. Tyler, Kev, you'll love this. Survive in Advance, March Madness.
Yeah.
One of my favorite times of the year. So my friend sends out an email. I'm part of this essential coaching group. And I've been so busy. I haven't really talked to them recently, but they're really good guys. And they're really innovative. They're bigger on culture, climate, they call it. Instead of culture, what's your climate in your workplace or your locker room? It's called Essential Coaching. You can follow them on like Twitter and things like that. They're really good guys. They both coached. One's assistant coach of Division III. Another one like was coaching high school. I think he's kind of like really involved in this group now. But they sent out an email. So we went Wednesday to Dayton, Buffalo. We played Friday, Saturday, Monday. On Monday, we found out all the logistics. So we had 2 days to prepare. So think about like upside down, chaos. We thought we were going to go to Damon and come back because we're only an hour away from Buffalo. Then they told us all the teams had to go there and stay there because of the bubble, because of COVID. So anyway, I get an email from these two guys, and they tell me, they send an email. They say survive in advance, right? So survive. Then they put thrive in advance. So I was like, oh, and I had these T-shirts ready to be made, survive in advance for the tournament. And this just happened Monday, so they had to get a press. They had to get the shirts. Our AD had to get them ready, which I can't believe they did them so quick. So I changed the name to Thrive in Chaos because they said that on the email too. Thrive in Chaos instead of Survive in Advance and Thrive in Advance. So our theme was Thrive in Chaos instead of Survive in Advance. And we got T-shirts made up in like 2 days. So it was crazy. So I think you got to be flexible. You got to adapt.
Yeah,
but I think
that's something that I didn't even think about. You sit back, you see these student athletes, they're dealing with the same adversity, and we were hearing words like resilience, right? And I think that you coming into a program, but then having to go through such, let's say, chaos, like you're putting it, you had to probably develop trust with your student athletes. When you're going into a new program, because you came over from Buff State and you were coaching previously down in New York, Mount St. Mary's as well. What do you do to, I guess, set the tone of that climate? Like, how do you set the tone as a coach, as a leader, as a mentor that you probably are to a lot of these women that you're coaching today?
Great question. Did I answer your other question, Kev?
Yes, you did.
All right, good. It's funny you said that. Resilience was our word of the year. John Gordon said, come up with a word. So in January last year, we came up with a word. So we had resilience, and then it was Thriving Chaos. But resilience was the word January, February, March. So anytime like we lost a game, hey, let's be resilient. But the players came up with this. So I'm very collaborative in that. The other thing is trust. They got to trust you. They got to trust, you got to trust them. But I think John Calipari has a great book called Players First. And he's really big on that. Like his players come first. Like today, I had a player come by 11:30, and I thought I put some snacks in the office, a little candy and stuff like that, just around. Little things, just so they might stop by. It's funny, they come right in. They don't even say hello anymore. They just come in and get the snack. I'm like, hey, hello, good afternoon, how's your day? But the player came in. She had class, and she'd been struggling a little bit. And she came in. She goes, Coach, how you doing? And she's like, yeah, like I thought she wanted to talk to me, and then I thought she wanted a snack. So she took a Slim Jim snack. She started talking to me. The chair kind of had stuff on it, so I don't think she could sit down. So I thought maybe like she had like personal problems. She goes, can you shoot with me? And I'm not gonna say no, like she wanted to work on layups. So we went out and worked on. But you gotta be available. Is my point. You gotta be really available, and just people say open door policy. Like right now my door is closed, but you want to have your door open as much as possible with respect. I call it open door policy with respect. They can't just come in here and start yelling at me. Kevin Tyler, I think it's trust. I think when I first take over a program, I hit the ground running, like I've done it before. Like when I first did it, it might be different, but now it's like I start calling the players up. I get once I get the job, I know like I start reaching out to them, like, hey Kevin, hey, how did what was last year like? What was your role? What just to get to know them. There's like a first 30 days, a first 60 days. I could talk more about that, but I think just being positive and being energetic. So our first team meeting, I showed up in a suit. In August, late August, it was hot out. I met the team. I bought some, I'm big on like bringing snacks and things to a meeting. I never have a meeting without, unless you're in trouble and you did something bad, but if it's a team meeting or a team gets done. So I brought like these, it's funny, I have all these things on hand. I brought like Swedish fish, right?
I love this.
Guys, you gotta come by the office. You gotta come by the office, man. You gotta love this. Like I have snacks, candy, water for custodians always here late night. I work late, so I'm like I give them water and stuff like that. And you want to appreciate people, right? Treat the janitor like you treat the CEO. And I learned that. My dad was a custodian, so I learned that a long time ago. But so Kevin, I go to the meeting and I bring the Swedish fish and Sour Patch Kids, and I just leave them around. And the players are asking me all these questions. And what I do is to make the meeting shorter, I put out an index card and have them write down questions. They can still ask questions, but in case someone is afraid to ask a question, so I take the index cards. I kind of just do icebreakers, kind of hit the ground running. I ask them what they want to keep, what they don't want to keep from the previous year. The good thing is the associate head coach, Coach Rosati, he's the one that recommended me for the job. He was already in the program, so he had some things established. He really empowered the leaders. We had a couple upperclassmen that were captains, and he really empowered them. So when I got here, to be honest with you, they were already, I started September, I think 10th. So they were 2 weeks in already. They were, they had a strength and conditioning program. So he really empowered them too. So it was just a really good, positive atmosphere. We did have some players that did not want to play for different reasons. And when I talked to them, I'm not going to beg you to play, but I told them what we could offer them. And then I also asked them, what their concerns are and see if we could change that. It wasn't fun for them anymore. So I really try to make it fun. So we're big on family, fundamentals, fun, 3 F's. We have these 4 A's that we go by too. Their attitude, attendance, academics, as we talked about, Kevin, and then athleticism.
Wow.
So if you have a 4.0, you're a great person, great kid, great teammate, but you can't make a layup. Unfortunately, you be on the team, but you might not play a lot, right? Say you're a great player, but you have, you're under a 2.0 and you're not eligible, you're not going to play, right? Because the NCAA. So those 4 A's have really been our culture standpoint, and Coach Rosati has implemented a lot of those things, and we've kind of kept them going. So, but I think making it fun, being, having a positive atmosphere, like, again, like you guys see, like we had them decorate the locker room. We call it safe space. So locker room's not the best locker room, right? It's not the newest, but we, get things and then they decorate it, and now it's their own space, So now they want to come to practice. They want to come to work, we've listened to music in practice. I play dribble tag, college dribble tag. Like, they don't like it that much because they run around a lot, but I think it takes their mind off, school and everything else. So I think just making it fun and just being like, my college coach was a great, great guy, but I didn't really went to see him and talk to him all the time, like where I should have. I kind of want the opposite. I want them, like, when the players check in and come by, it's it's a great feeling. So but I think being trustworthy, being available, loyalty is big for me. But I think you got to have some fun. Like, you got to be you. It's not always going to be fun. There's going to be some boring things, Tyler, and things that they don't want to do. But I think, like, I used to in practice when I played and coached the early stages where we ran suicides, which are banned now. The word, we call them champions, or we ran 17, right? Like running, just run. And then I had to play a run. I had to play a run, right? It's not a funny story, but it is a funny story. He was running. I was 17 years old on our test team. So we did it. So I must have ran a lot in high school that day. So I came to practice that night and I was running them, and their effort wasn't that good. So I ran them and I didn't time them. Like, now I have a stopwatch and I time everything. I have everything.
When they're dogging it. Yeah.
I have Swedish fish, I have whistles, I have stopwatches. So they're running, right? They run. And back then it was just they run. And I'm like, oh, that's not fast enough. Run again. So I ran them. And again, this is old school leadership where, and the kid, I heard him, I was going to stop it. Like, they ran pretty hard. And if he makes us run again, I'm out of here. I said, oh, yeah? Run again. The kid ran, went to the stage, got his Philadelphia Eagles starter jacket, grabbed it, and went out the door, and I never saw him again. And then he came back 2 years later, and he was like clapping on people, and he was actually, a really good player, but it kind of motivated him to come back. But I wouldn't do that again. So I've changed a lot over the years. So I think you got to change as a leader, like, be you, but I think you got to learn, like, get to know your people. Relationships are really important. Like my players, like, do I know if they have a brother or sister? Do they have, what's their home life like? What motivates them? What pet peeves they have? Like, I have a preseason meeting where it's nothing to do with basketball. It's just to get to know them, So those are just some things.
I love that.
Awesome. You're getting me fired up. You have pretty much my dream job over there. I have dreams of being on the sideline at the University of Arkansas, bringing back 40 minutes of hell, whatever it takes. But I always wanted to touch on, when I talk to a collegiate coach.
Nola Richardson.
Oh, absolutely. Rolling with Nolan, my man.
Carlos Williamson. I love that.
Yeah, big nasty. I was going to ask you, so the recruiting side of this would be probably my favorite part. Like, that's when you get creative, I would think, and to kind of just really touch kids' hearts, to have them look at your school at least. Do you have any awesome success stories around recruiting, or did you pull one off out of nowhere and get a top recruit just some crazy way?
Great question. You want to be like on the sideline, like practicing games are the fun part. People don't realize, like, the paperwork, the time, like especially at the higher levels. I coach high school where I used to teach, coach high school, and then leave. I didn't have an office, Here, like, like we're, meetings and, practice planning, and like, it doesn't end. Like, I have a whole folder of practice plans. Like, John Wooden was really, like, he would take 3 hours just to work on a plan, and then the practice is maybe 2 hours. Like, so this is a practice plan. Here's another one. Like, we mark it up. So I keep them, and then I kind of just grade them and things like that. So I think there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of, like, administrative stuff that people don't realize. Like, even NBA, like, I have, 7 o'clock's a game. I have friends that are 6 a.m. meetings, staff meetings. Then they have, player position meetings. Then they have workouts. Then they, then they got to be in the arena 3-4 hours before the game. Like, they're traveling. Like, it's a great lifestyle probably, but it's also like, they're not just showing up and practicing games. So I think coaching is, is more than just coaching. It's a lot of things. It's, fundraising, community service, recruiting, camps, clinics. I love it. But you need help too. You can't do it alone. For recruiting, believe it or not, Tyler, a lot of coaches have left coaching because of the recruiting part. They're away from their families, they're traveling. To me, I love it. It's a challenge. And it's Dean Smith's favorite quote. I'm a big quote guy. It's not what you run, it's who's running it. So I could do 40 minutes of hell, Tyler, but if me, you, and Kevin are coach playing, we're not going to be pressing anybody.
No, sir. That would be a short game for me.
Yeah, no run and jump going on.
3 on 3 will be all right. But think about it. So so I could run a Princeton offense, but if I don't have, really basketball IQ players, or like we tried to run dribble drive a couple of years ago, which is like a lot of dribbling. And I'm kind of old school where I was like, they're dribbling a lot for like, I like passing, ball movement, and then you still got to dribble, right? But and we had a couple injuries, so the players that we thought could do the dribble drive, so we had to go back to our other stuff that we run. But the dribble drive wasn't for us. We thought it was, and then but like Calipari, Kentucky, he gets guys NBA, one and dones or 1.5 and dones, and he's successful with that, right? So I think it's kind of your philosophy evolves, but your system and your plays kind of change every year based on recruiting. So my point is recruiting is really important. It impacts like Calipari. He's a great recruiter. He's a good in-game coach. That's I think he is, but people can question that. Coach K from Duke. Those guys, like he got Carlos Williamson. Not Carlos Williamson, Zion Williams. Sorry. Nola Richardson got Carlos Williamson years ago. I mean, that team was loaded. Like Calipari when he had Lou Rowe and Marcus Camby. So I think recruiting it's really a process, Tyler. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to have relationships. The good thing now is, like, say you coach women's basketball at high school. You could, hey, Coach Cliff, I got a player you got to take a look at. And now I could go look at it, but at least I have that lead. That's the hard part, getting that lead, getting that fit. But now, because of relationships, it's big on the recruiting. So I have these 5 hours in recruiting I'm not going to go into, but one of them is relationships. High school coaches, AAU coaches, junior colleges. But Tyler, I love going out. There's some showcases now. You go out, you can watch 3 courts at once, but I've been pretty good with it. I've had some player of the years and rookie of the years. I'll give you a funny story. Like you were saying, I had a player in City College. She was rookie of the year. We recruited her. My assistant coach, helped with it a lot. But we hosted the event. So we're at City College. We're hosting this event, and it's a big showcase. And City College is a big gym, big gymnasium. It's in the middle of Harlem. Parking's not the best. So the guy was working that ticket. So he grief to it to this day, but a parking ticket. But so I'm at the event. I'm working the event, like as a staff member, like making sure it runs smoothly, like a supervisor. But I'm also recruiting. So I'm watching these games. I see this player, super fast, one of the fastest players I've ever coached. And I've coached Ron Artest, I've coached pros, I've coached semi-pros. And I see this play like a corner of my eye, like she's on the other corner. I'm trying to watch 5 courts by myself, no assistant coaches. That year, Kev, 1.6 GPA, 6 players, no assistant coaches.
Wow.
Like crazy. Right. I got to slow down a little bit. I talk quick. So, but
wow.
I'm supervising this event. I look over and I see this girl, Anika. Her name's Anika, Anika. And I'm like, wow, she's really fast. So I come over and I'm looking, I'm talking, like I'm watching. I start talking to coaches, find out who she is. After the event, because there's a lot of rules, I start talking to the mom. And they go, are you a scout? And I'm like, to me, I'm evaluating. Scouting to me is like I watch the team I'm playing next week and I scout them out. NBA is different. Major League Baseball scouts, right? They got scouts. So to me, we're a recruiter, but not a scout. But that's what she said to me. I was like, I'm kind of a scout. I said, I'm a college coach right here at the school. And she's like, oh, I had no idea that was her daughter. So I was like, she's like, who are you looking at? I'm like, oh, that player right there. It was her daughter. So I start talking to her, all this stuff. So now we get her going. Now she comes for the visit, right? She was looking at some Division 2s. We were Division 3 at the time. We weren't good. We were a terrible record, but she changed the program kind of. So she comes for the visit. They had a scandal, City College, in like 1960s for the point shaving. Google it if you don't know about it. So, but we're Division 3 now. I'm on the visit with her, right? The mom. And I come see her, and she's like, has this like, the daughter loves the school. Like the daughter wants to come, but now she wants to check out the school. She couldn't visit when the daughter visits, so the daughter wants to come, and then the mom. So I start walking the mom around campus, and I read this book by Dan Tudor about like objections. Like people are going to object, like why should I come play for you? Why should I go to your company? Why should I work for your company? Why should I buy your product? Think about this. All these people that are listening to this video, like if your business, you got to know what the objective is, and then you could kind of flip it if you don't know that. So she's talking about this point shaving scandal. So in the book, he kind of talks about like objectives and things like that, how you handle it. So I just kind of spun it and I was myself, but I just said, we're Division 3. I was like, we're not we're not gambling on any games. We're not budget. We don't have any money. We're not, so she shut. But by the end, I'm telling you, she had a straight face with the whole tour, 2 hours. I showed her everything, showed her what we had to offer, told her what we were going to our why, what we're going to give, what kind of experience her daughter's going to have. By the end of the tour, her mom was smiling.
Wow.
So there's a player that we didn't think we were going to get. She becomes rookie of the year. Unfortunately, her second year, she ended up transferring Division II, which is unheard of. Someone going Division III and then going Division II. Sometimes you hear people go Division I and they're not good enough, and then they go to, or they didn't play enough or whatever. I'm not saying they're not good enough, and then they go not a good fit, and then they go to Division II. So that was one. We had this other girl, Tyler, Speedy. It's an interesting story. You really, when you recruit, it's a process, right? So we had this girl, Kelly, on our team at Mount St. Vincent, really good player. And we had a hard time giving her the ball. So I said, Kelly, I asked in-house, I said, Kelly, who do we need? Like what? She goes, we need a point guard. I have a point guard from high school that I play with. Her nickname was Speedy. I said, great. And now again, so I go watch her play. She's about 5'2", really thin, really small. And she looked like she was 12 years old, but she was a, junior and senior in high school at the time. I went to see her play like 8 times. And I felt bad because I don't, you don't want to be like, stalking and coming every day. But like, so I show up, and City College now was where I used to coach at. And we used to lose players to Mount St. Vincent, Tyler. So now I'm at Mount St. Vincent now. So the roles are reversed now. So I thought it was me, maybe like, am I doing something? But it's also the location and Staten Island and the school and, private school compared to city school. They're both good, but it depends on the fit, right? So I go to the game. The City College assistant shows up. I'm already there. I'm sitting with the family. I'm early. They come in late. They walk right by us. I'm like, they're not getting in there. I'm like, I'm going to get this player. Like, I'm sitting with the family. I'm recruiting her, and they're going. City College was Mount St. Vincent. It's interesting, Tyler, because I used to coach there, right? But I saw her play so many times. She could have played Division II. She had some Division II offers. We ended up getting her, right? She ended up coming to Mount St. Vincent. She should have won Rookie of the Year. She got first team. I ended up leaving to go to Buff State. Her senior year, she won Player of the Year.
Oh my!
Her
God.
freshman year, she won the assist. She led had the most assists in Division III, in all Division III.
Wow!
All the whole state. She had the #1 assist. And then her senior year, she had 1,000 points, over 1,000 points. And she texts me all day, "How you doing?" I stay in touch with her and stuff like that. So that's one of those stories, Tyler. Like recruiting, like I wanted a player. We might have lost her somewhere else, but I had to do my work. Hard work wins, I say, and we got her.
That's amazing.
And we haven't winning a championship in 3 years. So that, like I said, it's not what you run; it's who's running it. Tyler, you love
and I love that. But we're seeing something similar too right now, Coach. Right, is like in the world of work. Right, there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of options, just like college basketball. There's D1, there's D2, there's D3, but then there's a lot of schools that make up each of those divisions. When you're recruiting, right, a lot of times organizations today are struggling to find the top talent. And I think a lot of it has to be about that employee value proposition, or like you said, is communicating the why, right? And the experience that they're going to have. And you mentioned that you have 5 R's to recruiting. What are the 5 R's? And is it something that you think businesses can learn from, right? In your experience, because you're dealing directly with this up and coming generation. What are the 5 R's, and how can businesses start to use this approach as to how they recruit new talent?
I agree. I think people are going to negative recruit. When I was at Buffalo State, people used to say, they told the volleyball coaches had a player, and the other coaches in the conference or even out of conference said, you're going to get shot there if you go there. That's like crazy. Like, for us to hear that, I was like, that's messed up, right? So I don't negative recruit. I don't talk about, when people say like our rival, I say great school, great program, and that's it. So I don't negative recruit. I really focus on what we have to offer. What is our why? What is our mission statement? I got this from Jimmy Johnson, Coach Johnson. Your personal mission statement. Do you have a team mission statement? We have all those. We have these posters that I showed you, like that Driving Chaos, and we have the players make it up. They make it up. It's not my mission statement. Mm-hmm. We have a vision statement. It's a global powerhouse. I made that up. My national powerhouse. we want to be a global powerhouse because when I first got here, we had 3 international players.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why we kind of did the global, so that was the reason why we did it. When I do a drill, Kevin, I used to just, hey, let's do a 3-man weave. Hey, let's run, but now I tell them, hey, we're going to run because we got to be in shape because we run,
Got it.
This passenger. So the why is really important. I don't think it's what you do, it's how you do it as well. So like what drill we do, like everybody doing this, probably similar drills. Like I went to watch Gino Arama speak and he was doing the drills that I was doing, but it's how they were doing it, how hard they were doing it, the intensity they were doing it, like who was doing it, who was running it, So, but I think recruiting, Kevin, Tyler, you like this? It's very personable. Like when I first started recruiting, I used to just send out these general letters because we had to do, and some places have to do this because of bulk recruiting. Like for example, we have a coach of ours, he's coaching track. He has to get a certain amount of numbers and he has to go after. So it's really hard to make it personal. Like for us, we have 4 seniors leaving. We need 4 or 5 spots. We can narrow this down and say, hey, these are 5 we want. I can make it personal. So when you come visit, I make it personal. I have an itinerary for you. I have, maybe a note written for you. There's a lot of rules too. So you got to follow the rules. So I think making it personable. Like for example, I send an email. Some people say, dear coach. How about dear Coach Clifford?
Yeah.
Hey, how about hey Kevin? Hey Tyler. Like, just say hello, good afternoon. Like, if you make it personable, like, if they say Coach Clifford, Kevin, it's funny you said Mount St. Mary's. I actually coached at Mount St. Vincent, but we had a recruit, Tyler, that we were both recruiting, and she was recruiting us. She must have sent out the email to the Mount St. Mary's coach, but she must have copied and pasted it. And she sent it to me, and she said Coach Clifford, but then she put Mount St. Mary's. Meanwhile, we're Mount St. Vincent's, and we were a rival. I was like, we ended up still recruiting her, but you want to make sure that it's personal, So, but the 5 R's, Kev, is again, it's more for when I talk to like my friends' AAU team and stuff. So it's just general. So 1 is relationships. So do I know you? Every sense is like who you know, right? You ever heard that saying? It's who you know. Yeah, I changed it a couple of years ago. It's who you know, but then it's what you know. So Kev, you got me a job. Tyler, you got me a job at Arkansas, right? Because you know me and I got a job at Arkansas, right? That's my next dream job now.
Okay.
So,
all right.
But now I go there and we go 5-20. It's what you know. Like I got the job because of you guys, but now can you keep my job? Those alumni and boosters are gonna be like, get this guy out of here, right? So it's who you know and it's what you know. But now I learned this from Brian Stanchek, which is an agent. He was a coach, a basketball coach and athletic director. It's who knows you. So for example, Tyler, I know you, but you don't know me. Like I met you, or like we don't really know each other. But like now I know you, Tyler, you know me. Kevin, I know you, you know me. Like I know Ron Artest. I coached Ron Artest. Later on, 20 years later, I saw him. He was going through some stuff. I don't know if he remember. I started telling him who I was. Like I knew him, but can I call him up and say, hey, come speak to my team? Carl Towns Jr. I know him. He knew me. I knew his dad. I went to his dad's practice and ran a practice from him, and then I kind of lost touch with him. You know what I'm saying? So it's who knows you. Like, I think it's important.
That's awesome. Who knows?
That's relationships. That's relationships. Number 2, so networking, right? But positive networking. People network to like get jobs. I network to build relationships, and then maybe down the road that might help me get a job, but that's not my purpose. You know what I mean? So 1, relationships. 2 is respond. Think about how many emails you get and people don't respond. At work or, I get tons. I'm telling you, I get hundreds of emails. Like our computer was down before this morning, so I'm going to get a lot more later on probably, but we get recruits.
The avalanche.
Yes. So respond. But think about it, recruiting time. I used to send out emails, but I wouldn't get the response like from the player. Like, are they not interested? So it wasn't personable. Now I get them to respond for the most part. Now I'm in a different situation where I'm Division 2. Division 3 is harder, no scholarships, right? Division 2, they're reaching out to us a little bit too, which is a good fit. If they're reaching out to us and we like them, it's usually a good fit. But a lot of times coaches try to, like, say I saw you play, Kevin, yesterday, and then I reach out to you and you don't respond. Sometimes you don't know what to say. Hey, we're not interested. Thanks for interest. I do this one touch thing. When I get an email, a lot of people go, I'll go back to it later. I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
I'm gonna even if I say, hey, thank you, I got your email, I will review your video. So we get a lot of video and film, so responding. The next thing is researching. I've had players go for interviews, Kevin, Tyler. I had coaches, assistant coaches. I had 5 assistant coaches at Buff State go for one position. So I came from New York. I had a lot of people that wanted to come with me from New York to Buffalo, like that I knew. But, they had to find a place, the salary. So it was easy for me when I had jobs in New York. I had coaches always looking to coach with me, right? When I went to Buffalo State, I didn't know a lot of people. The previous coach recommended some people. I had some coaches that recommended some people. So I had 5 people interview. I liked them all. The one I hired, she found my office by herself because one person got lost. The other 2 that were good. I started asking about the conference, about the school. They did not know anything about the conference of school. They didn't do their research. So my point is research. So you're going for a job interview. You don't have to know the year the company was born, even though I do. But look at the rosters, look at the school, look at the mission statement, look at the product, look at the people there. Usually my interview here was 6 hours. Like wow. I met the president, I met the AD, I met the HR people. So I had to I was researching. It's funny. I called Coach Rosati up and I was like, am I prepared? He's like, you're prepared. Mm-hmm. He's like, I was over prepared kind of thing, but I was worried about if they asked me a question, I didn't know it, So I think researching it. Any questions about those 3 so far? So
no, I love this is very applicable, I think, to the world of work too.
But think about it, you go for a job interview and you just show up thinking you got the job already. I'm showing up because I think in my eyes, I feel like a lot of times people are looking there why shouldn't we hire you? Mm-hmm. So my job is to why they're going to hire me, my passion, my energy, being early. I'll give you a funny story. At Buffalo State, I went for a job interview. They flew me up. I didn't really know it, right? So that point where that one coach couldn't find the office, it's a big school, right? But for me, in my eyes, I went the night before. So I got in. So my interview was on Tuesday. Monday night, I went around. I had a shuttle from the hotel. It was dark out. But I just had to drive around the campus. The campus was huge. I had no idea. I'd never been there before. I looked on online, but I just went around and just kind of killed my nerves and just where was I going? What building was I going to? The next day, the interview was at 11:45 and they had someone before. Guess what time I showed up?
11.
10:45, which is really early, right? You want to be 15, 20 minutes early. I was an hour early. So I show up. And I just wanted to walk around on my own. And I met the equipment guy. And we're still friends to this day, 6 years later. And he's handing out the football stuff. It was late, July, August. He was getting ready for football stuff. But he had all the stuff outside. I go, hey, I'm looking for so-and-so. And Brent was he called the guy up that was running the event. And he running the interview process. And he's like, he's here already? Because they had another interview. I didn't know. I didn't want to. So this guy, Brent, showed me around to kill some time. It was the best thing because he gave me all this information. He goes, this is the gym. We host a high school. We host this. So it was unbelievable because now when I say expansion about recruiting style, so it really helped me for being early, right? So I really knew the school. I had a portfolio. You ever go to an interview without a portfolio or not your resume and cover letter, but the things you have? Mm-hmm. They started asking me all these questions, Tyler and Kevin, about there's some drilling going on. So if you hear some noise, sorry about that. Driving chaos. They started asking me all these questions. I had this portfolio and I didn't take it out. They asked me about practice plan, camps, budget, and I was like, hold on. And I took this thing, but my portfolio was like a binder, and I just passed it around. And while they were looking at it, other people were asking me questions. It was rapid fire. You ever see Hoosiers where the guys in the, and everybody's the town court, and they're really, that's what I felt like. People just rapid fire asking questions, but I was prepared, right? So any question they asked me, scout reports, practice plans, you have a sample. I had all those things. Imagine the other coaches didn't.
Yeah.
That's why it separates yourself.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
All right. What are the final 2?
Preparation equals separation. Preparation
I love that.
equals separation. Dr. Gilbert. But anyway, I'm name dropping a little bit today.
Hey, keep it coming.
Yes. The other 2 is for us is recruiting visits. So if you're going to buy a house, go check it out. If you're going to buy a car, if you're going to go get the company, go check it out. Go stay for a day. If you're looking at a college, can you do an overnight visit? Can you do an online tour? So for us, it's our recruiting visits. That's a big one for us, Tyler, for recruiting. Getting them on campus. Some stay for the day, some stay for the night, some do unofficial. official. There's so many different types. A lot of paperwork to do with that too.
Awesome.
That's 4. And then the other one is reach out. So think about it, reach out, connect. You know what I do? You guys will love this, I think. I got this years ago. You gotta come by the office, guys. I got a jar.
We are.
Yeah.
And guess what's in the jar? It's all the business cards that I've got over the years. And what I do is when I get, I don't get a lot of free time, but like, oh, this person, hey, I haven't reached out to them in a while. I'll just say, hey, Kev, how you doing? Check in with you. So and it's a lot of them is like people that send me notes. I might keep the little return address. So and I just have a jar of just my contacts, and not everyone. Some's in my phone now and thing, but I used to have like that little business card holder. But reaching out, I had a friend of mine. He was a coach, and when he was a coach, he said he made 3 new contacts every day.
Wow.
So for recruiting, Tyler, we have a coach here that tries to do 5 recruiting emails each day. It could be time consuming, right? So, but for me, I try to connect. Like we have this recruiting website called Field Level, and I go on there and I connect with people, and it's crazy because then it's awesome because they start emailing me back like Facebook, and they start recommending me players. I don't even know who they are.
Wow.
It's like I don't even know who they are. I just connect with them, and then and now I've become friends with like 5 or 10 of them, but I have like thousands on there. But there's a few that like. If I'm on a Zoom, they might go on a Zoom now and they listen to me and we build that contact. So I think networking and reaching out, but even like say I'm a basketball player in high school, reach out to the coach. They're waiting for the coach to reach out to you. They might not know who you are. How our best recruits have been the ones that have been the best fit. Like they reach out to us, we like them, and then we following up, reaching out. I'm big on that. How many people like right now we talk and then we don't talk for 4 months. Yeah. Hey, about an email follow up. Hey, thanks for meeting. Even a job interview, a handwritten note. Handwritten note goes a long way. But those are the 5. So reaching out, I think, is
those are such. I think again is like knowing what I know about the competition that's out there in the working world. Is those 5 R's are still so usable. I think by talent acquisition experts. Recruiters themselves, HR departments, and CEOs. One of the questions that we'll end on is I have had, and Tyler has had, and his father being a coach, coaches made a profound impact on my life, right? Both positive and negative. What is one of the best memories that you have on the impact that you didn't realize you had on a player while they were playing for you, but maybe years later came and shared, hey, when you did this really made a difference in my life? Is there anything that stands out in your head, Kevin, that really is top of mind and carries you with that energy and the passion that you have on through in coaching?
Wow, yeah. The good thing is I follow up with a lot of players. Like I still say happy birthday to them and things like that. I keep track of a lot of that stuff. So, I'm passionate about that. They keep in touch. Like the Mount St. Vincent team, they won a championship in 3 years. So that team is really close themselves. So like, they'll come to our games. And when we're playing downstate and they're not playing no more, they'll come watch our game. Like that's really, impactful. So I think trying to stay in touch with them. I've coached so many players, so it's really hard to stay in touch with every single one of them. But I try. I'm big on following up and staying connected. I'll give you this quote about coach and impact, Kevin. A coach, and you've seen this before, a coach will impact more young people a year than the average person does in a lifetime.
Wow.
Billy Graham. A coach will impact more young people a year than the average person does in a lifetime. I've been coaching for 30 years.
Wow.
So hopefully
I've impacted so many lives.
Yeah. But Kevin, there's been some players that I regret, like I wish I handled it better. I wish I like that one kid that took the jacket. You know what? 10 years later, I was hanging out with the guy, so we joked about it. But at the time, I was like that coach that butted head. So I really try to get to know them. Tom Izzo's big on this. If you have the relationships, you could be on him. Like he gets on him. Like you see him in practice, like in the games. Like there was an article about him. Like he was yelling at the kid. But you know what? If you read up on him, he makes them write goals, Tyler. So Tyler, you're a freshman. You say I want to be rookie of the year. You know what he does? He puts on the goal on the sheet, index card, and he goes, "They came up with this. Now I'm going to hold you accountable."
Yes.
Now it's real.
Accountability. So yeah. But the thing is, he's hard on them. So you want to be demanding, not demeaning. But I think I've had a lot of impact on players, but players have impacted me too as well, right? Kev, I think, the biggest thing is the players, like I said, like I went to New York to go back to Mount St. Vincent, and I was in the area, and the players wanted to like get together and just meet. And it's funny, a couple of them are coaching now, and we're out to dinner. And it was the Kelly Frazier's, the Speedies, that Mount St. Vincent team, right? They were 7-18, and then Speedy and them came in. They were 22-6 2 years later. Again, it wasn't. It was the recruiting side that really helped us, right?
Why can't the Knicks do that?
Buy-in. You need the buy-in, Kev. You need the culture, though, the climate, right? And you know what? Also, if you're losing, so we were 7-18. The year before, they were 7-18, Kev, and time we were competitive my first year. But every time the game was close, it was almost like, here we go again, right? That losing culture. So now you got to like not play to lose, but play to win, but expect to win. You're going to lose sometimes, but like, so we brought these players in the next year. We were winning a game, and the other team came back, and we came back and beat them. I was like, culture's changed, just like, and not just like that, but so, but back to the point. So we were 22-6. We won the championship, first time in school history. A couple of years later, we go out to dinner. There's many of them from the team, not all of them. We're having dinner, hanging out. I had to get home, and a lot of them coached. They go, Coach, can you draw that play up for me? Can you draw that play? I'm like, the play was for you. You don't even remember it? Like, they had no idea about the plays, Kevin. You know what they remembered? Hey, Coach, remember when you did this in the locker room? And we used to play started at the bottom, and now, now we hear the Drake song. We were worse to first. Basically, that's what they're called. Worse to first. We were worst in the bottom. Mount St. Mary's was on top, and then we became in first. But those players didn't even remember. I was shocked that they didn't remember the drills, the plays. I was drawing up at dinner, like plays on napkins and Post-its. Meanwhile, but they remembered, like, Coach, remember when you wore that tie? And Coach, remember when you did this? Remember when I was playing one day in practice, and the girl was hurt, and she came back, and I made a move, and I actually broke her ankles again, but it just looked like she fell down. And they remember that. Like, it was like crazy. It's a messed up story, right? Because I felt bad. The girl was like hurt, and she came back, and I was just playing with them, right? And she got hurt again. But they remembered, those things. So it was like the things they remember were like, I used to do all like different things. Like we had my nickname for DJing was DJ One, old, new, and everything. Listen to this. Listen to this. So the T-shirt that they came up with, it had nothing to do with my DJ name. It was One. It was from Mike Neighbors when he was at Washington, the guy in Arkansas, and it was One. Like, so everything was one. Like, you're together one. You know how you do 1, 2, 3? We were doing 3, 2, 1. We flipped everything, like culture. So their thing was, and we had T-shirts made up, and we made it fun. Like I had posters and everything. Like, so everything was one, right? So you come up with a theme or a slogan. But have the players do it, Tyler. Have your workers do it. Have you, be collaborative. My way to the highway is kind of fading out now. You need to, like, players gotta like you and care about you, and vice versa. You gotta show that you care about them. But we had this one, and then they started laughing because they was like, oh, One and DJ One, and they started making fun of me with the DJ and stuff like that. So it was good.
That's some powerful stuff, and I just wanted to say thank you so much, Coach Clifford, because I think just hearing your perspective on coaching is a lot of the same things that leaders are going through in evolution right now. The workers are demanding things that are different than what was previously thought, but we know win is one. People being our greatest culture, our greatest asset. You really gave a lot of great tidbits on what individuals in these businesses need to start doing today to really attract those top recruits, whether on or off the court. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your valued insights. And when's your first game tipping off this year?
November 12th at home. We have a tournament, the 12th and 13th. We play at 8 o'clock, and our big game is against Damon. They are our rival. They beat us last year. We beat them in the championship, and then they beat us in the Sweet 16. So that's in January.
All right. Well, Tyler and I will be there with some foam fingers cheering you on.
Tyler, Kev, thanks for having me. I'm going to leave you with this for leaders. I'm going to leave you with this. You can write these down. Be flexible during COVID, especially or post-COVID. Be flexible. Be adjustable, and that's similar, right? Be resilient, but be available. Think about how many people behind the door you don't see. Like our president of our college, when recruits come to visit, most of the time they see her, they meet her. How about meeting the president of the company or the president of the college, right? So be available, be flexible, be positive. Lead by example. but get to know your people, right? Relationships.
Mhm.
And then what is your why? And I think caring about your players, like for example, like if I worked 9 to 5 and my dad passed away and I had to go to the wake for a couple of days, I mean, I've had a boss that say like, "Why are you not at work?" Like, are you kidding me?
Mhm.
Like, where it should be like, you should be at the funeral, you should have been at the wake, you should have been maybe sending flowers to my family. Like, that's what I would do, So I think really like following up that connection, like meeting people, like someone stops by the office. I used to be on the phone, not even paying attention to them. Now I'm really where my feet are, right? So be available, be like, the other stuff could wait. I know we got deadlines and paperwork and all that stuff, but people first, players first, relationships. Like John Calipari said, read his book. It's really interesting because people don't know. People think about him like with recruiting and like maybe cheating and things like that. But him and his wife donate all the like winter stuff to the homeless and stuff like that. Like, I mean, again, I'm not the biggest John Calipari fan, but I read that book and it's like changed my view on people. So don't judge a book by its cover, but really research and read up on like, for example, I follow Nick Saban. I follow Bill Belichick. I follow, like, and I'm a basketball coach. Kev, go to another sport. Like, I'll go watch a soccer practice. I'll go watch a volleyball practice. When I was at Buff State, I watched like the hockey team practice just to see if I could pick something up, So those are just some food for thought there.
That's so helpful, and I think it really resonates with leaders is that everybody's trying to be flexible, and so those are fantastic. This was a fantastic episode, Coach, and Tyler and I can't wait to come out and cheer you and your team on, and see a little tour of that office and maybe have a few Swedish fish over there. So.
Might be all gone by the time you get Thanks, have a great day, man.
Thanks so much, Coach. I appreciate it. Have a great day.